Hey everyone, John Doyle from OptixEQ. Another great week. We're starting the month of March. And before we get started with today's video race of the day, I'm going to do Wednesday at Gulfstream, is just to take a look at the website. And I want to point a few things out. If you want any information on the plot, the grid, whatever, go to info. We got pretty good detailed user guides and quick reference guides. So any question I think you probably can answer, and really in good format, that documentation. The other thing I wanted to show people who may not be on social media like a Twitter, I do, when it just kind of, the moment comes, I put stuff on Twitter like horses I think may look good or some information about optics that's kind of useful. So you don't have to be on social media with us. If you just go to media and you scroll down to Twitter, this is on our website, you'll see, a bunch of tweets that I do. And some of them, like I said, apply to races that are upcoming. So, if you don't want to get on social media, but you want to look at what we're doing there, that's another way to do it. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Let's go to race 6 on Wednesday, March the 2nd. Don't know if this race is going to come off the turf. Never know with Gulfstream these days. There's, I guess, a 20% chance of rain on Wednesday. Let's hope it stays on the turf, and because I think it's an interesting race. It's not a big field, it's 8 horses, but very interesting. First thing you'll understand here, we got a nice green plot fit. The contention is aflame, and you can see it. I mean, it's like there's about 4 horses lined up there on the lead, right? Everything to the leftmost is the horses on the lead. So you can see, and you can even see the run styles, all kind of EP types, this 2, the 3, the 4, the 6, right? Even the 7. Just evaluating that, I would just say, hey, maybe, we're going to have some horse off the pace. Okay. The one thing you got to be careful though is with these 5 furlong sprints, it does favor quadrant 1 horses on the turf. So it really does. And I think also on synthetic. So if this race were to get switched out, that's, I think that holds. So you just got to keep that in mind as we go through this. But you can see there is a lot of contention up front, and you got a bunch of circles. Now, when you go over to surface and distance, this being the turf, you notice a couple of these horses turn to squares, the 2 and the 6, and they happen to both be Mark Casse horses. Okay, but the thing is, we got to evaluate that in terms of whatever. But I'm going to show you the 2. There's some interesting things on the 2 I thought in this race. But the other 2 horses that probably would best suit off the pace would be the 8 and the 1, and it's obvious. Okay, so 8 and 1 could be part of the trifecta here, I would imagine. We'll get into as we get into the grid, you can see that. But let's evaluate that early pace. Who's going to be the winner of that early pace battle? That's really what we need to understand, because the winner still could come from there. As we said, it's that quadrant 1 is pretty good when we're talking about where the winners come from. So let's gonna flip to the grid. The horse I wanted to kind of look at is the morning line favorite, Chicky Shabazz. He's an old class horse. This is his 2nd race off a layoff. Now, I don't think he's the same horse. And when he came back off the layoff the last time, let's look at his plot. He was the number 3. He had a clear pace advantage, and he couldn't take advantage of it in that race. And he was run down by number 7, Natural Power. Okay, so Natural Power flew late, and it looked like Chicky Shabazz was tied to the rail the way the 7 closed in that race. They both come back in this race. So who are you going to prefer, right? So the 7 in this race is the 1, Natural Power, and Chicky Shabazz is part of that pace battle that he didn't really get last time. So I'm negative on Chicky Shabazz as the favorite in this race. He's 3 to 1 in the morning line. I'm not sure he's going to be the favorite, but he'll take money just because he's an old class horse. He's, running Breeders' Cups. He's finished in the money in Breeders' Cups. He's a class horse. So, he'll get played. But I'm against that one. Let's look at that other horse, one of the horses from Casse, who looked like he plotted pretty good. He switched to a square. He looked like highest up on the quadrant. My issue with this horse is just pretty much the layoff. You can see that when this horse, he's coming off a 115-day layoff. So don't know what we're going to get. Just notice that when he ran his debut, he ran terrible. So, a debut is off layoff. That was on dirt. Maybe you can make a case for it. But he also ran 169 days. He ran another terrible race off a 169-day layoff. I'm not sure. Maybe he just needs a race. I just don't like these last two races too, with no finish, going 5.5 and 5 furlongs. He's going to get pace pressure. Of the Cassie horses, I like him the least of the two Cassie horses. I'm going to show you the two horse, which I like a little bit in this race. I mean, a little bit more than I like. Just I like his odds. I like things about him. That's number 2, Gretzky the Great. Now, this horse is also coming off a layoff, but look how this horse has performed off layoffs. Debut, pretty good second here, right? Then he came off 112-day layoff. Pretty good number. It was his, a 92 OptixEQ, a win off a layoff. So this horse can handle layoffs versus the other horse. And then the other thing about this horse is, if you look at his plot on, let me just clear this out so we can go back to his plot here. Look at his plot. It says this, it improves. So he improves with the turf sprints. And, he ran these turf sprints in his 2-year-old season. Okay. So we always say projection upside, right? And this horse has been in, he won a grade 1 stakes in at Woodbine on the turf going long. So, I mean, this horse has quality. There's no doubt about it. He's 8-1 in the morning line. I'm just wondering if I were to, I'm going to use my imagination a little bit here. Let's say the 6, and here's a way to look at who's going to really be in the lead here. Maybe I kind of looked at let's look at the 6. The 6, when he starts, he's usually like, first, second, or third. Okay, so you can't. Let's look at sprint races. Okay, so he doesn't break on the lead all the time. Mostly second, thirds, and stuff like that. Chicky Shabazz, let me just go to the 4 here. Let me clear this out. You can see Chicky Shabazz he's going to break on the top mostly. That's what he does. I mean, unless there's something he doesn't, but he's more likely to break on top. I'm just thinking the 4 and the 6 are probably the most likely to go to lead. Could the 2 sit a pocket trip? So a pocket trip behind those speeds, get first run on the 8 and the 1. That's my thinking in this race. We know the horse is capable on speed figures, capable on class, Q1 square on surface and distance, a nice size one. Could sit that pocket trip. 1 to 8 are better closers, but I'm just thinking I'm going to keep my trifectas around the 2 with the 1-8 in this race, just because I think maybe he gets the best of the early speed, and then the late runners come underneath because they both are capable of closing in. We saw that the 1 closed into the same race with Chicky Shabazz and beat him handedly. The 8 is the other horse I think is a legitimate horse in this race. If you look at his form, his last race was in the Sunshine race, was off the turf going 9 furlongs, didn't handle the surface. Okay. For whatever reason, I guess that was his first time on the dirt at Gulfstream. That happens to horses. The time before that, he was at a good optional, which is higher than this level. And we got the comment here, projection shorter. So this horse is an effective 5 furlong, 5.5 furlong horse. This is what he wants to do. Second off a layoff for Maker, capable, plots very well, an obvious contender. So the contenders for me are 2, 8, and 1. 2 a little bit sneaky, especially at that price. If you can get anywhere near that, looks like a decent play in race 6 at Gulfstream Park on Wednesday, and a good turf sprint. So that's it for us. Check us out this weekend coming up. We're going to be doing a bunch of Derby preps on video. I got Emily lined up for some of those. So I'm really interested in doing those. So just pay attention to this YouTube channel, subscribe to it so you can get first dibs on those things. And thanks for listening.